Welcome to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales, where hosts Kevin Lawson and Sean O'Shaughnessy provide actionable insights into tackling one of the most challenging milestones for any business, hiring your second salesperson. In today's episode, Kevin and Sean dive into the strategies you need to ensure your first and second sales hires become a revenue-driving force, focusing on the power of clear accountability and continuous feedback. They'll reveal why structured onboarding and regular checkpoints can make or break your new hire's success, transforming a simple sales role into a linchpin for growth. They'll also share practical tips on reducing your sales ramp-up time from years to months. Get ready to unlock your business's potential. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. Got a little bit of an interesting paradigm to talk about. We're going to talk about a company, not an existing one. We're kind of making this up and combining multiple companies together. But we're going to talk about a company that has one salesperson. And the owner is happy, but not sure if he should be happy. The owner wants to grow, but not sure that he really can. The owner's just not sure about that salesperson. Now, there's a challenge when you hire your first salesperson. We've talked about this on this podcast before. We had Steve Caton come on from Alteza, and he talked about fractional salespeople to help that first salesperson issue. But there's some products that a fractional salesperson just can't sell effectively. You have to have a full-time salesperson to do the job. How do you know when it's all going well? How do you get that person up to speed? The challenge of that first person is quite likely they are not a professional salesperson to begin with. They maybe knew the company, they knew the product, they might have known the industry, they definitely knew the owner, and they convinced him to give him the job. But they didn't have decades of experience in sales. They didn't have decades of experience running sales organizations like Kevin and I do, where we know how to set up a new sales organization. We know how to set up all the sales plans and the sales theory and figure out what the ideal client profile is. We know how to do all that. A lot of times that first salesperson doesn't know, and the owner doesn't always know either. Now, the owner did a lot of great things. He started a company. He created a thing. He created a product. He created a service. He was able to figure out how to deliver that product and that service. He was able to get some customers. That's amazing. He pulled all that off. That's a lot of knowledge. That's a lot of capability. It's a lot of hard work, but maybe doesn't know sales. So now we have a salesperson that's not a super professional combined with an owner who really doesn't know sales, but they need to grow sales because revenue is the most important thing. So how do you know when it's time to grow? How do you know when it's time to add salesperson number 2? How do you know that it's not time to replace that first salesperson? Let's explore that a little bit. Kevin, I set you up with a bunch of softballs there. So where do you want to go with this?
Well, I love the question of how as opposed to why. Because why is should I or should I not, but how is really related to the success outcome. For the purposes of this conversation, for all of you listening, I want you to think about yourself as an executive and what is the outcome, i.e., executive outcome for the sales department, the salesperson. We need that executive outcome in the same way that you, as a sales leader, owner, operator, would design it and do it yourself. Because as someone who has hired a new salesperson, you're the measuring stick. So the how question is so important. How do we get someone who we've invited to our tribe to be successful? How do we get them into our organization in a way where they feel valued, are producing value, and we can all see, measure, feel the growth of that value throughout the organization? So I want to tie a few things together. We're going to assume that you've already had a conversation with somebody like Sean or I about process. Because if you haven't had that conversation, go back and listen to our previous content. This conversation is not about the process or the strategy. You should have already done that, having gotten to this point. We have tons of free resources in our previous content on our websites. There's free resources. Sean's written the book. Go find that. It is available and abundant for you. For this conversation, we're talking about how do we get that person successful. And I would propose the idea that accountability and communication consistently is job number one. If we're not giving regular feedback, especially to a new salesperson, we can almost expect for them to fail. Because what happens? I've got a couple of kids. If I gave them no parenting advice until they were 5 and then all of a sudden expected them to be really high functioning, toddlers and people about to enter school, they would not be successful, and frankly, neither would I. So let's avoid that. Let's treat it like an infant to toddler kind of growth where we're giving them good, consistent, firm coaching on the track to giving them more and more freedom to go be successful with the right tools to assimilate into our culture and be functional, productive citizens in our culture, right? I'm tying together how do you create better people is the same way you create better salespeople. It's still people on the end. There's somebody receiving that message from us as leaders, you as owners, me as an owner. We've got to coach them along in a way that lets them know when they are or are not succeeding. So that's my first how is communicate.
I think that's very important. Communicating is the way you're going to solve this problem. You only have one salesperson. So, as an owner, you should be sitting down with that salesperson and not being judgmental, but asking questions like, how does this work? How is it going as you make your calls, as you talk to customers? What are their challenges? Because what you want to figure out is if that salesperson is successful, is that successful enough to run your company? So for one salesperson, they have to be bringing enough revenue to accommodate the revenue that you need for one salesperson. If you think you're going to go to two salesperson, well, now you got to double that. But what is the success metric that first salesperson that you can then apply to the second salesperson? If you find out with your conversations with your only salesperson that it takes a long time to get in front of the right kind of customers, it takes a long time to find out what the problems are, well, work on that with them. Figure out how to make them better because you want to cut down the time it takes to close a deal, or you want to increase the amount of money that you get for that deal. If you're not sure if you're successful with that salesperson, then you're probably looking at it going, we're tight. The money is tight. We're getting revenue in, deals are happening, customers are coming on board, but I'd really love to have it go up 20 or 30% right now. And if that's the case, you have two choices. Get more revenue in faster, buy more deals faster, or make the deals bigger so that gets you your 20 or 30% more. So talk to your salesperson, talk to your person out there that's interfacing with the customers and asking the questions that they need to ask so that you understand, could these deals get bigger and could they go faster? It'd be great if you could do both, but don't aim for both. Just aim for one right now. How do you make your deals go 20% faster? So if the deals would go 20% faster, you get 20% more revenue. How do you make your deals 20% bigger? Same thing. That would get you your 20% right there. So if you're concerned that the salesperson is successful, but you're not quite there, like maybe that salesperson is doing great, maybe that salesperson is not doing great, but you just don't know. Well, the reason you don't know is because you aren't trying to push one of those two numbers. Make the salesperson close deals faster, or make the salesperson bring in more revenue per deal. And in order to do that, you as the owner need to have a conversation. You need to communicate and lead that salesperson through that process. Now, several weeks ago, we talked about sales plans. If you as the owner have not done that sales plan, get busy. Go back, find that sales plan, find that podcast, figure out how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, call Kevin, call Sean. We'll help you pull it off real quick. But you need to have a plan on how you're going to get better. But we're going to ask the same questions. We're going to ask, how do you make the sales deals go faster? And we're going to ask, how do you make them go bigger?
Sean and I are stacking hands here. If you can imagine Lincoln Logs right here, we have laid the foundation. We have built the door. We're about to build the roof here. This is a good conversation. It's actionable. For all of you out there listening that are in a leadership role, I want you to think for a minute honestly about anytime someone has asked you, how long does it take for a salesperson to be successful in your organization? Sean and I run into a lot of owners who say our organization, our industry is unique. We're a little different, and it takes. And if I said I'm going to hold my fingers off, hold my fingers at a number here. I'm going to say, Sean, how many years does it take for somebody to get on board in a unique industry?
2, 1,
Two.
6
200%. Well, we always start with 2. It takes somebody, our industry is technical, our industry, you added the nuance. Oh, you got to know the customers. Oh, it's a relationship. Oh, we're kitschy. Oh, they don't buy from people they don't know. I hear 2 years or 24 months so often. We as owners, we as sales leaders, you as sales leader, salesperson, we've got to shorten that time. Some people call that a ramp. Some people call that a burn-in period. Some people call it a maturity, a junior to senior role. It's got a number of different labels. But if you have ever said, or you think in your organization, wow, it always takes us 2 years to get somebody on board and productive, you have a problem. And this is the problem we're talking about today. We need you as an owner to set a goal for yourself that this year, this next 12 months, you're going to reduce that to 1 year. And in the next 12 months, it's going to go 6 months. We're cutting this in half. And in 3 years, we're going to go from a 2-year ramp to a 90-day ramp. And for all of you whose eyes just rolled back in your head, threw up your hands and said, we can't do that, you can. If you want to know why, Sean and I have been in business for pushing 5 years apiece. We can tell you that that's what we do with businesses. Systemizing your sales process, where deals leak out, your ideal client profile, all these things that we talk about month in, month out, week in, week out, podcast by podcast, honing and dialing these things in is our value to market. It gets you as an owner, operator, commission salesperson more money faster. For those of you in the back rows and the cheap seats, more money faster. This is why we're doing this podcast. We're trying to earn you more money faster. It works. When we figure out that if we'll tightly define as a sales leader our ICP, our ideal client profile, rigorously define that persona, the person inside the ideal client profile, and if we will hold our salespeople accountable to calling on the right persona at the right ideal client profile, lo and behold, your deal cycle days will get shorter and shorter. You'll go from a 2-year sales cycle to a 90-day sales cycle. You will go from a 2-year ramp to a 1-year ramp almost overnight. It's crazy how fast time goes. A blink will just, your eyes will flash. When you put all this advice that Sean and I are giving you for free into the same mix, you end up with a really tasty stew of revenue and profit. At the end of the day, this is the kind of stuff that works. And it's why I'm actually, as we're recording this, I'm sitting forward in my chair because I'm excited. This stuff makes a difference. It makes Christmas and holidays and Thanksgiving and birthdays better, because when you're celebrating in a time of surplus and abundance, it's a whole lot more fun.
I love that you just ended with surplus and abundance. So people ask me, but the economy sucks. I went to this economic forum. I heard ITR. I heard my bank talk about this is happening, that's happening. And then I turned on the news and there's a bomb blowing up over there and there's somebody dying over there and somebody got shot and there's a disease over here. And oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, the world's going to end. And nothing ever happens differently because it's been bad ever since we've created this country of ours. The reality is it's amazing how much revenue is out there. If you are $1 million, do you think it matters at all what's happening in the world, that the economy can't keep up, that you can't find more customers? Chances are the business, the industry that you are going after, the target market, the companies that make up your ideal client profile. Man, we keep saying that word, don't we? Or that phrase. We keep saying ideal client profile. If you add up all the ideal client profiles that are in your market, guarantee it's millions or billions of dollars that you can acquire from them. Millions or billions of dollars. I don't think it's trillions. That'd be amazing. So if you're a $2 million company, a $5 million company, the world is your oyster. If you are a salesperson and you're doing $3 million in revenue, but you could be doing 20, the world is your oyster. If you think that you can't afford to hire another salesperson because the salesperson you got right now is just barely eking it out, the world is your oyster. Go out there and do it. There's more revenue. There's an abundance of available talents out there. There's an abundance of people out there that want to buy your product. There's an abundance of people that have a problem that you can help them solve, that you can help them achieve their goal. They're out there. You can do it. Go find your customer. Go after your ideal client profile. Go talk to them. Go see how you can help them achieve their goals. And you will find that you will make more money than you can stand. You will grow faster. And that is what Kevin and I teach our salespeople when we teach them, when they come on board, and in 90 days, we teach them how to ask questions that get to that. How can we get there? How can we help you? And revenue happens. But it's been 15 minutes. So it's time for us to be done with our podcast for today. But the good news is we're coming back next week, next Tuesday, 4:30. Dial it in, subscribe on your podcast player, hit that like button about our podcast if you want to. Send us a note, tell us that you liked what you hear. Tell us you didn't like it. But we'd love to hear from you. Have a great day.
What a great episode, Sean and Kevin. We learned so much about the power of accountability and communication in setting up a new salesperson for success. One standout takeaway was how vital it is to give regular, structured feedback to new sales hires, helping them feel valued and aligned with your organization's goals. This approach can dramatically increase their confidence and productivity, creating a faster path to growth for your business. Remember that the significant actionable items Sean and Kevin shared, the regular checkpoint system, is a must-do for any business with new sales hires. Creating these checkpoints isn't just about checking boxes. It's a proven way to measure progress, provide essential feedback, and adjust course before small issues become major setbacks. If you've got a new salesperson, commit today to set up those checkpoints immediately. Don't let this practical advice get lost in the rush of the day-to-day. Carve out time to make this a priority, and you'll see a measurable difference in your team's performance. If you ever need help with sales strategy, sales management, or growing your company, Sean and Kevin are just a call or click away. Check the show notes for contact details. Also, while you're there, take a quick 10-question assessment to see how your company's sales approach stacks up. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast player for more episodes like this one. Until next Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, happy selling.